Peace and love, good people. Salute. Salute to all my beautiful people. What's up, y'all? Definitely wanted to come by and touch on a little boxing news. Okay, so some news has been circulating around you guys. I'm sure you guys have been made privy to this by now. Circulating news that Shakur Stevenson has chucked the deuces, y'all, okay? At good old Eddie Hearn. He said, Eddie Hearn, this is where you exit stage left, okay? It is being said that they have parted ways. This is what's being alleged all across social media currently, okay? Now, if you guys recall, it was only a few months ago that this now estranged duo had partnered up and decided to embark on a venture together. It's only been a few months since they're, joining together, Shakur Stevenson and Eddie Hearn. Okay. And, their joining together, of course, came by way of the fact that at that particular time, back in the fall, if you guys recall, Shakur Stevenson's contract was up with Top Rank and Bob Arum. Okay. And he was very publicly speaking about being a free agent at that time and that he was very much looking for a new home base. Right. If you guys remember, this is around November, I want to say something like that he was having these public conversations and making it known that he was definitely leaving the Top Rank sphere. Okay. Now, this is where we insert Eddie Hearn into the picture. Around the time of him, of course, publicly speaking about this, he and Eddie Hearn had, seemingly had been becoming quite acquainted with each other, seeing, attending events, attending fights with each other, things like that, being in front of the camera. Eddie Hearn was being asked about Core was being asked about Eddie Hearn. And, it was kind of a coalescence that seemed to be happening between them, right? And ultimately, upon some conversations, of course, behind the scenes, he and Shakur Stevenson had ultimately announced their consensus pretty much to work together. And, right after that, subsequently, it was officially made public that Shakur Stevenson was going to be a part of the Matchroom stable, right? Now, upon my initial viewing of their joining, or of their courting of each other, if you will, on the business sector, Shakur Stevenson looked absolutely smitten with Eddie Hearn, right? And this is prior to, of course, the eventual signing the agreement to work together at a particular point. Prior to that, he looked smitten with Eddie Hearn. Every time he was asked about Eddie Hearn, he was smiling. He was crediting him, as being the best in the business, that Eddie Hearn was, somebody that was replete with experience in the game, that knew his stuff. He was a comrade to his fighters. Very, very, very admirable statements made by Shakur Stevenson about Eddie Hearn. So it looked like it was going to be a match made in heaven. I was quite excited to see them join. I was quite excited when they had, of course, announced the official partnership and stuff like that. He really seemed to admire the work and the standing history of Eddie Hearn, right? So it's wild now that so quickly the tables have turned and the narrative has changed, right, as of late, according to these reports, at least, right? And it's also being alluded to that the division between them is allegedly due to some type of miscommunication and possible friction that may include Turki Al-Sheikh. Now, of course, I don't know how deep this well goes or to the extent of its truth or probability or anything like that, but it is certainly causing Shakur at this point to allegedly link up with Lou DiBella. So that he is now diverting away from Eddie Hearn and finding his way, into a venture with Lou DiBella. And DiBella, of course, is a well-known figure and promoter within the sport and entertainment industry, you guys. Okay, it's not only, ventures in boxing, but I believe he dabbles in baseball. I believe he also has, some experience and some background in the film sector of the entertainment industry as well. So very, very well, suited individual in multiple industries, including boxing, right? At least I know most of his work to be in boxing. So it was quite Astonishing to see that he had also his hands in different industries as well, right? So some of his fighters, I believe, now include people like Regis Prograis, George Kambosos. I think he had worked with Deontay Wilder in the past. So, he's somebody that is definitely well-versed. Now, I don't know what opportunities that this new alignment with Lou DiBella stands to present for Shakur Stevenson, if these reports are true, that is, right? And of course, if it's true that he has indeed departed from the Matchroom stable. But you guys, real talk, the details and specifics of things like his money, let's say if this is true, details like his money, what was negotiated and the terms and all those types of things like that, etc., is really of no consequence to me. You know what I mean? I'm here for the fights. I want to see the best fights possible get made. And that is something that has been absolutely impossible, seemingly, for Shakur Stevenson to do these past several years. Okay? I think it's time for him to rise to the next level. Okay? I just want to know if he'll finally be able to align with solidifying the biggest fights in his division and beyond, should he choose to move up at some particular point. I just want to know if those fights are going to be made available to him. No more excuses, no more tiptoeing, no more half-ass call-outs, no more half-hearted, gestures being made to whatever side, no excuses of sides of the street. I'm tired of that shit. Let's get these fights made. Is Lou DiBella the answer to that? Does he hold the key to that? That's what I want to know. Is Shakur Stevenson ready to step up to the call to make, whatever fights he needs, to be had for him possible and get those things materialized? That's what I care about, And, I was definitely very much under the impression that such would have been possible under Eddie Hearn's, stable and his establishment and stuff like that. But now that is absolutely up in the air, Shakur Stevenson just needs to be where the upholding of his legacy will be respected, and validated. Everything else is for the birds as far as I'm concerned. I have no interest in it whatsoever. Shakur Stevenson has a fight coming up in July, as was announced sometime last week. It's supposed to take place, I believe, on July 11th or 12th. And that's with him facing William Zepeda. Truthfully speaking, you guys, this is no secret. That's a fight that I do not care about. It's a fight that I'm not interested in whatever, okay? I think it's a fight that should have happened, at least a year and a damn half ago, real talk, But once this fight commences with Zepeda in July, my question is, how is Shakur Stevenson intending on finishing out the year? That's a very big question, you guys, because since his De Los Santos fight, De Los Santos is a good fighter, but of course, the performance of Shakur Stevenson and De Los Santos, real talk, was lackluster, to put it nicely, according to the general public, right? And so ever since then, we have been looking for a standout performance, looking for a standout opponent for Shakur Stevenson, and we have not got it. Is he going to try to end the year with another C-rated opponent? C-rated meaning people like Joe Cordina, whose fight was ultimately canceled. Thank goodness. You know what I'm saying? We were on, I guess, our tiptoes a little bit as far as Floyd Schofield Jr. was concerned. That fight ultimately fell through. He wound up fighting Josh Padley. It's just been, nonstop disappointments, nonstop a sense of deflating opportunities for Shakur Stevenson. I hope that he does not end the year, with the same lackluster energy and output. Even though he looked really, really good against, Josh Padley, he wound up getting him out of there. He got the stoppage and stuff like that, despite the issue with his hands. It's still lackluster in that is not who the boxing world has been calling, or it, continues to call for Shakur Stevenson to face. When are we going to get the fight that we want to see, which is really Tank Davis, which is really Keyshawn Davis? We want to see Shakur Stevenson unified, okay? And us real boxing goers also most definitely have question marks and queries around the fact if he's ever going to, if he ever intends on being an undisputed champion at 135. You know what I'm saying? So that Shakur Stevenson has a lot to prove right now, Okay, he is one of the biggest and most notable fighters at 135, yet he barely seems to have anything to show for it. Okay, and aside from the WBC belt he collected, off of Devin Haney when Devin Haney moved up, it's like, okay, well, what are you going to do about it? Do you intend to remove it from the waist of a champion? That's what I'm on the sidelines to see. Are you going to unify and take it off the waist of a champ? Are you going to behead a king? So he's definitely at a stalemate, you guys. And I'm wondering, if Lou DiBella is the answer to shaking off the cobwebs, so to speak, from this young man's, longstanding immobility, right? Or, will this be another ill-fated deal and partnership gone awry? Will this be yet another thing that leaves the young King Shakur Stevenson waiting in the back of the line of proven greatness? I guess we'll see. Nonetheless, you guys, that's it for me. I'm going to leave it here. I'm on to the next. Peace.